Is the new Kicker Solo X subwoofer too expensive? That's going to depend on who you are and what you're trying to do, and everybody has a different reason for their opinion on the topic. So why not just ask you directly what you think about this subwoofer? In fact, I do this so often that I've turned it into a little bit of a game, deal or no deal. You answer a question in the poll, and I make a video showing everybody the results. Speaking of the results, we'll take a look at the Kicker Solo X results in just a second, because there's something else that I want to show you first. And that's a home audio item. This is a subwoofer plate amplifier. You would use one of these if you're going to build your own subwoofer for your home theater. This is the Dayton Audio SPA250. It is a 250 watt 4 ohm mono amplifier. I have hands-on experience with this one. This was what I used for my very first home theater subwoofer build. This is the project that kind of kicked off this thing that I do. I built this subwoofer and then I just got the bug. Anyone who's built a subwoofer knows exactly what I'm talking about. I built this thing 9 years ago. I tried to find some of the original pictures and I couldn't find any. But if you go way back in time and look at my first YouTube videos, you'll find where I did a build video on this subwoofer. So this thing is usually $250, currently on sale for $190, and if you use the code DIY5, you can get another 5% off, making it like $180. But does that make it a deal? Well, the vote was split almost down the middle. 52% said no deal. And if more than half of you say no deal, then I guess it's not a deal. I kind of thought it was a deal. That's why I posted it. Let's check out the comments and see if we can figure out why you think this is not a deal. First of all, it looks like you want to see more features and more power. A couple of you commented that you didn't know what this was. That's probably driving the results. This comment right here by Thomas is an example. Thomas didn't know that a home audio plate amp was even a thing. If this were a car audio amp, I would totally agree with Crispy Basin. But this power to price ratio is actually pretty typical for home theater or subwoofer plate amplifiers. What this tells me is I need to build some home theater subwoofers on my channel so I can show people what these are for and what they do. Now, several people commented that it needs a DSP, so I figured why not do another poll, this time looking at a very similar product. It's basically the DSP version of the SPA250. This one has the exact same power rating and it's a little bit more expensive, but it does stack on that digital signal processor. So is it a deal? And the answer is I don't know, because I uploaded images for the poll options and forgot to type the words deal and no deal into the poll options. If we can assume that the green check mark indicates that it's a deal, then it is a deal. And just like many of you said in the comments on the previous poll, adding DSP is what makes it a deal. But since I messed up the poll, I've got to call this an invalid result. I try to learn from my mistakes, so the poll for the Kicker Solo X is valid and we get an interesting result. Split nearly down the middle, 53% says it is a deal. Now the rule for the game is that I can't call it a deal unless more than half of you say it is a deal, and a 53 to 47 split is so close to half that it could be due to just random error. So it's not a wide enough margin to call it a deal without doing some statistical test. So we have 429 votes, 220 say it's a deal. We run the test. For those who care about statistics, the null hypothesis is that this is not a deal, and we can reject that null hypothesis if the p-value is less than 0.05, and it's not. So we cannot say for sure if this 15-inch Solo X subwoofer at $750 is a deal. And this is a really interesting result because this is a badass subwoofer. I went to Slamology this year and these things were all over the place. And the comments on the poll were also all over the place. Yes, this is a top performing SPL sub and it can handle a ton of power. And yes, it's really expensive, but the thing to remember is it's really designed for competitions and shows and that kind of thing. And while there are a lot of people who do that, it's really a very narrow segment of the market. One of the features, for example, is a no glue recone. So if you take this thing to a show and blow the subwoofer while you're at the show, you can just literally unbolt the soft parts, the voice coil, the spider, the cone, the surround, all of that, and just bolt in new ones. No adhesive required. And hey, it's overkill and it's not cheap, and you'll need a big amp and upgrade electrical to go with it. Reading between the lines on the comments, I think it actually is a good deal, but the problem is it's just hard to justify that kind of money on a subwoofer. And now for something completely different. How about a tool? A friend of mine that runs a local shop was telling me about these. This is a corner clamp from Kreg. Kreg makes some really good stuff. One of my favorite products they make is the Rip Cut. I use mine all the time. But the problem problem is these clamps are a bit on the high side. I put the poll up because I'm thinking about buying one, and I wanted some feedback from y'all before I did it. The thing is, I've got a ton of corner clamps, and I never use any of them because they're all such a royal pain in the rear end to use. But this Kreg clamp is a little bit different. I actually have the pocket hole version of this one, and it might be the best clamp that I own, because it's really easy to use. It's self-adjusting. You just grab it by the handle and clamp it down, and it kind of locks into place like vice grips. But is it a deal? You say no deal. I think I should probably go ahead and buy one anyways, because if it can save time and hassle, it might be worth the money. And maybe I might, while I'm at it, pick up some of the cheap Amazon knockoffs and do like a shootout test between the two of them. And if that kind of comparison video is something that you want to see, let me know down in the comments. Because that's the main reason why I make videos like this. I'm trying to get an idea of what y'all actually want to see. Up next is something I've been really excited about. It's the new Easy DSP from Down for Sound. This is a 6-channel in, 8-channel out digital signal processor, and like all Down for Sound products, it packs a lot of bang for the buck. It's got everything you should expect in a DSP: time alignment, crossovers, EQ channels, as well as digital inputs. But is it a deal? I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. Well, yes it is, and by a pretty wide margin. Let me show you what all those statistics look like when you actually have found a deal. In this case, that number we're looking at is that p-value. The p-value is less than 0.05, so we reject the null hypothesis that it is not a deal and accept the alternative hypothesis that this is a deal. You thought this was a video about car audio equipment. It turns out it's a statistics course. We move on to the next deal. I've got another poll that I put up just out of curiosity. How many of you purchase used gear? Well, 44% of you never or rarely buy used gear, 34% buy used gear sometimes, and 22% of you either frequently or only buy used gear. That's kind of a vague result. What do words like rarely and sometimes and frequently even mean? I don't have much good luck with used gear. All the used gear around me is either outdated, worn out, or overpriced. And I'm only going to buy something used if it really is a killer deal. And if you're looking for deals, you can check out my Facebook group, Audiovisual Bargains and Deals. This is a place where anybody can jump in and post deals that they happen to find. So if you know of a good deal, go check out the group and share that good deal with everybody. And if you think I should keep making these deal or no deal videos, let me know by hitting the like button. If I keep getting a bunch of likes, I'm going to keep making them. Next up, we have a cheap component set. I like to do a cheap component set every time I do one of these videos. This is a 6.5-inch set from Hyanka, and you say no deal. Hyanka sent me out one of their amplifiers. If you want to see the amplifier dyno video, click right here. And let me know if you think it's a good deal. Or you can click right down here to subscribe. Before I go, I need to thank all of my patrons and channel members for their generous support of this channel, and give a bonus shout out to $25 and up patrons Bo, Timothy, JD America, Jonathan, and Johnny. I'm Justin. This is the DIY Audio Guy YouTube channel, and I will see you on the next adventure.